almost like that, like this.
Now, when we say that knowledge did not compel choice, it's the choice between what and what?
Not the choosing that the person chooses in his life.
The choice of the human.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, if we're going to give it a worldly context, it would mean like this, literally. Even though we can't even imagine that happening. You're carrying a person, you're carrying a child. And the child is being, the child's movement is totally dependent on your carrying it. He's not moving alone, he's moving in because you're carrying it. At the same time, this carrying does not make any effect on the child can, you're carrying him here and he can be here. He can be elsewhere. That's completely out of whack. Because he gets whatever he gets to is by you're carrying him. Doesn't work on his own. How can you be carrying him here and he ended up over here? By his own choice. So in effect, this is the kind of economy that this is presenting. Hashem's knowledge is what creates the world, and yes, every individual. And yet, as he's created, he has his own choice, his own selection as to how he conducts his life. Whether he conducts his life according to Hashem's will or Chas v'Sholom otherwise. Okay, we do not have a problem with this because to us Hashem's will is a remote thing. We are completely oblivious to it. But if we reflect on the real principle that this idea is what creates the human being, this is what gives him the means of being. So literally, this would be as if you carry the child, you carry the child, and the child ends up someplace else. He ends up what he wants to be. Okay. Now we have the real challenge to understand it. Okay, the last word on this page, this, namely, this inyan, that Hashem's knowledge is what provides the capability of the human action. Yet this does not machriach, it does not compel, it does not decide what the human action is going to be. Lefi, because because that knowledge is muvdelas be'erech. Muvdelas means separate. Be'erech means in proximity. It's on a different level totally than the mitzias of the creature, of the created entity. We immediately can draw up so the idea of those be'erech. It means like this: I know something which is remote, which is distant from me, and has nothing to do with me, and I don't affect him. I don't even see him. I don't affect him by my presence. For example, if somebody's in a room, somebody walks in, and you're oblivious to his presence, it doesn't affect your thoughts and activities, because his presence is not factual for you. But this is not the case. This is not what we are talking about, because this idea is in fact the source of the koyach for the creation itself. This is like more like in the case of the child being carried. Because this idea, the Rebbe says on top of the line, is muvdeles be'erech. Muvdeles be'erech means it is separate be'erech in proximity. It's in a different perch and a different. Let me explain what that means. We can separate things by distance. Somebody is an inch away. Somebody is a yard away. Somebody is a mile away. A mile away, you can't reach it. You can reach out from me to a mile away. What if it is 1,000 miles away? You can't reach out. You can't even see it. So if you can see it, this in that you cannot see 1,000 miles away, this is due to your own limits. But if you had binoculars and you can climb up a little higher, you could see it. So in other words, this distance does not represent what's called muvdelas be'erech. It is still in the same proximity, in the same world of distance. There's big distance and smaller distance. You see, muvdelas be'erech means it's in a different level of cognizance, different definition.
To remain on this call, press 1.
The Alter Rebbe has for this a very simple illustration in Tanya. What he says, when somebody says that this is a svara, this is an idea, thought that cannot be touched by hand. The Alter Rebbe says this is a ludicrous statement. Because thought and seichel are not in the realm of touch. You can touch it with your seichel, but you can't touch it with your hand. Please understand what this is. This is a proper means by which one to enter this thing. Hashem knows the physical presence of every human being. And he knows it as a physical presence. A physical presence, by our definition, is something that can be touched. It can be reached. And therefore, the physical presence itself, the human being with the physical presence, should be able to reach up to that which knows him. He is known on the physical level. So why can't you reach up to the one who knows him? And this we say that yes, the one who knows him, like he knows him in his physical state, in a factual state. And yet, he does not affect, he does not reflect itself in his own awareness. Because this idea is muvdelas be'erech, is a knowledge that is on a higher level than that which the physical human being experiences. There's no way we can get away without putting it in some kind of a context, some kind of a moshel. Although the moshel is always going to be short of the reality. Every human being has a home. Then he also has a shul, where he davens and learns. Then he also has what one can call a chavrusa, the aflame. It's also in a home. Us Eden, who is dispersed in the entire world, and the entire world in totally different circumstances. The Russian Jews versus the Polish Jews, versus the French Jews, the English, all in totally different circumstances. There is no way for an American to understand what life was under communism. It's a completely different reality. Or even deeper, perhaps. I don't know if it's deeper or not. We, Rachmana litzlan, we cannot really perceive what it was like to be in the German Rachmana litzlan camps. Even survived those camps. We can imagine what that means. So here we have a factual phenomenon. All of these people that we mentioned are all in the physical world. But their presence in the physical world is totally not comparable one to the other. To the extent that one cannot possibly explain himself to the other. This is a means to understand the concept of the idea of mubdalas b'yarach. A knowledge that is separate, not separate because it's a distance. The distance itself is a completely different type of distance. Be'erach, it's not in the same proximity. It's not in the same measuring realm. To this, the Alter Rebbe has the Moshe in Tanya. Nobody can say that he can. This is a seichel. This is a thought that he cannot be touched by hand. That does not describe how deep this thought is, because thought and hand are not in the same world. No thought can be touched by hand. Therefore, you say that the thought cannot be touched by hand. You're not describing the depth of the spirituality of this thought. So coming back to our mind, Hashem's knowledge of the world and Hashem's knowledge of every individual human being and individual action of the individual human being. And it's a factual knowledge. But it's a knowledge at a different realm, different measuring level. And thus, it cannot be, you cannot say it's distant from being known by a human being, from touch. Because this knowledge, Hashem knows the human being, is it's in a different category of knowledge. It's in a different category of knowledge. The motion for us is this from the Tanya. Seichel and touch are both human experiences, but they're in different worlds. literally. Okay, and this is the means to explain the principle, the important principle, that even though Hashem created the human being, not only Hashem creates a human being. Human being at the moment, at this moment, where he is, he thinks because Hashem gives him the ability to think. Hashem is giving the ability to act. And Hashem is the one who gives him the choice of how, the ability to choose how he acts. This Indian, that the human being still has the ability to choose on his own. Let me talk about this choosing on his own. This is an important thing. I don't know if I have time for that or not, but I have to say this. We have the principle of choice in our own experience. I have to go someplace, I can choose going this path or that path. This choice is not the principle of choosing. It's selection between two different paths. This is not what we mean here. This is not an neshama choice. This is a practical choosing. I make a calculation. This is more economical, or this is fresh, and so whatever it is. It's a choice between two things that exist in the same world, in the same proximity. The principle of bechira, a human being has a choice in his life. The choice in his life is not that he's choosing among equal possibilities or similar possibilities, so it's a possibility in the same realm. Think about this. A human being can choose in his life whether he's going to be annoyed with Hashem or chas v'sholom, detach himself from Hashem. This is not a choice in proximity. This is a choice coming from the neshama itself. What is the reality of your life? Is the reality of your life world, or the reality of your life is godliness? The bechira that we're talking about, the human bechira we're talking about, at that level, you are alive, you have a neshama, you have a sense of your life. What does this life repeat, this sense represent to you? Your own choice. What does it talk to you? What does the neshama tell you what your life is? Is your life money? Is your life wealth? Is your life covet? Is your life tasty food? Or is your life a life per se, living? Nobody knows what, cannot identify what living is, but life is a category out by itself. And we have it and we experience it all the time. To choose, when we talk about choice, we're talking about choosing at that level. When a person chooses to live a life of life, this is because his neshama is urging him on there. This is not a choice in a worldly arena. It's choosing, where do I belong? Not what do I like, where do I belong? Because when one chooses to do avodas Hashem, or chooses to do worldly pursuit, he is dissociating from the other completely. It's two different worlds. That's why in the Torah, even when we dedicated to Hashem, there is laws that identify, that define not only right and wrong, but what you may eat, what you may not eat, when you can eat, how you're going to eat, and how you're going to, and how you not eat. Every less detail, which you would say it has nothing to do with good and bad. Eating kosher and not kosher is not a decision on the worldly level at all. The definition of kosher, not kosher, is a divine definition. The Gemara says, a person shechts, he has to shecht from the neck, from the throat, not from the neck. The Gemara says, what's the difference? The Gemara says, what's the difference? The answer is we cannot define what the difference. This is a difference on the divine level. That's the Bechira level. We choose a divine pursuit, a divine level of pursuit rather than anything that can be identified in the world. This Bechira, this level of Bechira, is on a higher level completely. It does not relate to the factual presence in the world. Okay, this is still in the emotional level, but nonetheless, you touched upon something. All right, I guess this has to be it, right?
Yeah, what time is it?
You know,
7:15 right now.
7:15.
We have another 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, unbelievable.
Success in time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that really good. We used to say success in time.
Right, right.
You checking this or you checking your thing?
This one's a little slow.
Yeah, it's 7:15.
So this knowledge does not at all affect the choice, because, like we said in our moshel over here, whether you choose to do Avodas Hashem or you choose a worldly pursuit, the world does not decide it. You can do Avodas Hashem in this room, in shul. You can do Avodas Hashem in your own home, or in the street for that matter. Worldly denominations do not affect it. Because that ideal, the Mugdaras Be'erech, is in a different, it's taking place in a different realm. It's taking place in the neshama level of a person's awareness. The neshama level is not identifiable from a worldly perspective. This is the explanation for the Rebbe saying that Hashem's knowledge, even though Hashem's knowledge is what creates a human being, and what gives a human being all of his capabilities and all of his cognizance and insights and abilities, nonetheless, that knowledge does not at all decide what the human being is going to be. He is giving a complete presence, and he can choose his lifestyle on his own completely. Again, in our moshel, which is a challenging moshel, you're carrying a child. The child is being carried on your hand. But the child, in his sense orientation, his personal sense of experience, he feels like he's walking on his own legs and on the ground. Even though he's not even touching the ground. But in his experience, in his sense of being, he is walking on his own, you're not carrying him. And therefore he can choose to go one way or another direction. We don't have a physical way of demonstrating this, but as most of sometimes we figure out how to demonstrate the same even in the physical world. This is a means to understand the term a bechira that is muvdelas, the idea that is muvdelas. The idea that is not in proximity to that which is known. And thus, the known entity is unaffected by this idea at all. He can still orient himself in his own sense of orientation. This is a phenomenal union in the creation. Eibusha creates everything, and he gives each creature, especially the human being, a total sense of independence, as if he's completely self-made. He finds himself in a certain place, and in his orientation, he is here because he chooses to be here, which is not the case at all. For example, we are here. I personally am here in America. I was born in Russia. And to my perspective, I came to America by the choice, my parents' choice, but by human choice. Not true. We are here because that's how the Eibusha planned the world. And all the encounters that we came across that ultimately formed our perception of what is the world in which we are, all occurred from Hashem's initiation.
How do we integrate what you just said with the phenomenon of a man choosing to do an avera instead of doing the right thing?
And so,
we're talking about choosing, right? So
this is the great thing. Really, it's mind by how can a person do an avera? It's comparable to the person being carried and says, "No, I'm here. I'm not here." What's the answer? The answer is that Hashem gave a person a neshama. The neshama relates directly. Neshama is not a choice between one situation or another situation. Neshama is the life itself. Neshama identifies with the area and the place and the situation and the duty completely from base on. But if the Neshama says this is the right thing to do, it doesn't mean there's the right thing to do under the circumstances. It means the right thing to do from the inception of existence. When you take a piece of fruit and you make a bracha not under the circumstances you have to make a bracha. If a human being gives you a fruit and you say thank you, this is appropriate to say. But this thank you is not an absolute thank you. You're thanking the human being under the circumstance that he handed it to you. Because he did not really create it. He did not really make it available to you. But when you make a bracha, this is an absolute level. Because the Rebbe really created this fruit. You hear the difference?
Yeah.
This is a choice, so to speak, and of making a bracha is going down to the very beginning of existence. We, in our intelligence, God-given intelligence, realize that the fruit has come to be here.
To be blessed.
Excuse me?
To bless.
By divine design. Intended to be in my hand by divine design. To realize that nothing happens in the world just from worldly effect itself. That's why we say the bracha beira priya. Why is the bracha beira priya? Beira means he creates the fruit of it. You eat it not because you created it, you eat it because you bought it in the market. How did it come to your hand? And that's the same beira priya. We should say, thank you for making putting the fruit in my hand. Basically, the answer is that this fruit, as I have it in my hand, was created by Hashem ultimately to end up in my hand. So we get it from its source of sources, from the creation level on. It was created ultimately to end up in my hand so that I will be able to use it. So I make a bracha referring back to the beginning of time. This is the pshat. A person acts by his choice, although his choice is so remote from the obvious. By the time he encountered this fruit, he didn't see the fruit growing up. Right? He encountered the fruit by hitting his basket. Then he goes back to the beginning of time.
Time.
Okay? All right. Thank you.